Welcome to Capybara TV. Thank you for watching. Last episode we learned about the magic computer PC95, but 25 years later our little friend is not feeling so good. Some keys don't register. That's a very common problem with membrane keyboards. They sometimes come in contact with moist and liquid spills. Sometime after, the electrical paint rusts away. But there is an easy fix for that. Let's dive in. But first, how about some myth busting? It is possible to homebrew electrical paint at home? What do we know about rust and electricity? Let's do some research. Rust or corrosion is a chemical reaction called redox, the reduction oxidation of atoms, where two atoms exchange electrons to form a stable molecule. For example, carbon can be oxidized to form inert carbon dioxide, or can be reduced with hydrogen to form methane flammable gas. Most natural processes involve redox, even the food we eat. The rust is so destructive for metals because it not only changes its molecules, but also destroys the crystalline structure of the metal. The crystal forms an electrically charged path for the electricity to flow with little resistance. Rust and moisture are the most common killers of old electronic devices. Rust adds so much resistance that electricity cannot flow anymore. It also affects non-metals. Air moisture can provoke momentarily short circuits. Like your car, bicycle, bridges, boats and airplanes, paint is the cheap and effective way to stop rust, just because oxygen can no longer touch and bond the metal. The reasons we don't paint electronic devices are air cooling and electric isolation. We need air to flow inside our electronics, and unfortunately, oxygen comes with it. Also, some paints can absorb moisture and become conductive. Aluminum is always rusted. Wait, what? Yes, it's true. Aluminum oxide is a thin, transparent layer that forms naturally over aluminum surfaces. It offers good protection against oxygen until it gets scratched. Stainless steel is expensive, heavy, hardened, not suitable for thin traces and connections, but most important, it does not fuse with solder. Copper. Wait. Not that, gentlemen. This is Sir L.C. Buckshot Smith. Thank you, sir, for your inspiring example. God bless you. Copper is an orange metal we all know. Copper has three very desirable properties. Very low resistance in ohms, very malleable, can become thin wires, bonds with low heat solder, tin and lead based. Graphite is not a metal, it is a semiconductor. When you have a graphite cylinder, it can offer a predictable amount of electrical resistance. That is our resistors. And when you have a thin and long layer, it becomes a variable resistor. So here we are with our conductive ink. This is nickel-based ink. I found that silver ink is too expensive for my third world country money. Luckily for me, I found this nickel conductive ink for just about 5 euros. Time for some myth busting. Here I have my trustworthy multimeter set in the ohm scale. So here's the complete trace. It's very thin, just like the real keyboard. I gave it a good chance to the graphite with very thick traces, but as we also learned in the presentation, the graphite needs a very thick bar structure, crystalline structure to conduct electricity. Now let's open up the keyboard. I'm testing to see if the springs are okay. It have metal springs only on the big keys. The smaller keys are silicone based springs. Don't worry about the internals. Is that coffee? What if I spill coffee over the keyboard? You idiot. Okay, as I was saying, don't worry about the internals. I'm working on the schematics for the video game. It's not very easy. The keyboard membrane has 3 layers. As you can see, on the outside it's very rusted. The silver became black. The middle layer is a separation layer. It isolates both membranes except on the buttonholes, and the bottom one is also bad. Now I'm showing the conductive ink. It's a glass vial, very small, very hard to open. The ink it have no smell at all. It have the consistency of honey, very thick, and the metal particles always sunk to the bottom. You have to always agitate it. If you just use the brush paint, you will only get the soluble and not the metal particles on the bottom. This is a toothpick, and I found, to my surprise, the toothpick is very accurate. It just deposits the right amount of ink, not in excess. This internal trace is corroded because next to it there is a hole. It's used to drain any liquid spills that may occur. This is a children's toy after all. This particular video game I found on a Goodwill store, and it's probably had 1 or 2 uses at most, and then it was abandoned. So it's very new, very new. It's not yellowed. It was not exposed to sunlight or water. Now we have to check the results of our work. I had outside the camera, I have used the multimeter, and I detect a short. It runs around all the keyboard twice. It's a very long, very thin layer. It must be near Well, I wouldn't say near 0 ohms, that's impossible, but it would be less than 1 kilo ohm for the proper function. Now I'm installing the double-sided tape. The membranes cannot move at all, or it would be shorting extra keys and you wouldn't be functional. It's a very tedious process. It takes many hours. Now I'm fixing the electrical contacts. This part is also very delicate. You cannot bend too much the plastic, it would just snap. And it's an old device, everything here is trying to fall apart. This silicone rubber is very good quality. The keys are very nice to press. As you can see, the keys just pop right up. So stay tuned to the next episode of Capybara TV, where we're going to learn all the secrets of the ESDER clone family computer. We're going to play games, we're going to program in BASIC, we're going to even learn some math. Believe it or not. Thank you for watching. See you next time.